Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. My name is Athaariq Adinilachry. I will to present about paper thesis writing. And next. Next. Okay. The first article about foreignization and domestication strategies in cultural terms, translation of tourism brochure. Next. In translating brochure, a translator has to make a decision on the basis of the message and the purpose. The translator is faced by two strategies of translation, foreignization, and domestication. The purpose of the study is examine how the interrelationship between cultural terms, translation, and foreignization or domestication strategy in the cultural terms, translation of tourist brochure from Indonesia into English. This study used qualitative descriptive with discourse analysis strategy. The note-taking technique is used to identify and classify the data. Next. Many brochures in Indonesia are written in Bahasa Indonesia, but international tourists need to understand the text. It is because international tourists from foreign countries may have little knowledge and experience about local culture. Consequently, translation bureaus and translators are very important and become a national need and must in daily life, especially in translation for a browser from Indonesia into international language such English. Next. Method. This research is qualitative, descriptive research. The documentary study guide was used as the instrument. Note taking was used to identify and classify the data. The cultural term so that it was much easier to formulate the analysis. Discourse analysis was used to analyze the data. Next. Discussion. In the ecology category, mostly the translator considers to target text or using domestication strategy in translating the text. The translator tends to use domestication because the source text is generally familiar and considering targets Buddha or horse refers to an animal that has four legs and people ride on or use for pulling carts. Next. Okay. Conclusion. Based on the finding and discussion about cultural terms, translation in tourism, browser from Indonesian into English, it is shown that the translation strategies depend on the translation process. When the cultural terms are familiar, translator tends to use domestication strategy and consider the target text. Translator choose domestication strategy because one, try to make tourists understand the text, and two, produce communicative and natural translation. Next. The next article is the use of grammar translation method in teaching English. Next. Okay. Method, and to know the reason why the teacher used the method. Descriptive qualitative method was applied to subject were to English teacher at the 7th grade of SMP Negeri 1 Palangkaraya. It was used observation and questionnaires to collect the data. The data reduction data, display and conclusion drawing were applied for data analysis. The findings show 9 major patterns of GTM applied. 1. The classes were taught mainly in mother tongue. And 2. The vocabulary was taught in the form of the list of isolated words. And 3. The grammar provided the rule for putting words together. And 4. It was little attention to the content of the text. Sorry. Number 4, it's focus on the form and inflection of words. And 5, the reading difficult classical texts were begun early. 6, it was little attention to the content of the text. 7, the drills were exercised in translating. And 8, it was little attention to pronunciation. And 9, it focused on accuracy. Meanwhile, the reason of the teacher use the method are, and 1, it is suitable for the student, and 2, it helps the student comprehend the text, and 3, it improve the vocabulary, and 4, by using the method, teaching learning activity work well. Next. Method. The design of the study was descriptive qualitative methods as Bogdan. The defines the qualitative approach as research producer, which produce descriptive data such as verbal or non-verbal, utterance or word from the object being observed. The subject of the study were two English teacher at the 7th grade of senior junior high school Negeri 1 Palangkaraya. In the academic year 2011 and 2012. The instrument used were in the form of observation, sheet, and questionnaires by Sugiono, 2007. Meanwhile, the data analysis applied in this study used data reduction, data display, and conclusion drawing or verification by Miles and Huberman. Next. Finding and discussion. The data obtained from observation are discussed here based on the topic of the study, which focus on the patterns of grammar translation method in teaching English used by the teacher at the 7th grade. There were two teachers who taught at the 7th grade. Student, namely teacher A and teacher B, including their student observed in this study. Next. Conclusion. Based on the observation and data gained from questionnaire support by written records such as curriculum or syllabus lesson plan. Handbook used by the teacher and the student in teaching learning English. The writer found the 9 patterns grammar translation method used by the 2 teacher and of the 7th grade student SMP Negeri 1 Palangkaraya, such as 1, the classes were taught mainly the mother tongue. 2, the vocabulary was taught in the form of list of isolated words. Along elaborated the explanation of grammar. And three, the grammar provide the rule for putting words together. Four, it focus on the form and inflection of word. Five, reading difficult classical texts were begun early. Six, it was little attention to the content of the text. Seven, often the drill were exercised in translation disconnected sentence from the target language into the mother tongue. And eight, little attention was given the pronunciation. And nine, the focus was on accuracy, not fluency. Next. And the last topic in the article is the influence of portfolio toward the process and the quality of student translation. Next. Okay. The study is aimed at gaining an understanding of the influence of portfolio on the process and quality of translation, acceptability, accuracy, and readability of student, and how a portfolio affect the process and quality of student translation. The method used in this research is sequential explanatory design. The subject of this study are the third year student of English Education Department at Universitas Singaperbangsa, Karawang. Indonesian who took translation purchase course. The quantitative data are taken from the pre-test and post-test result. The qualitative data are gained from questionnaire and interview. Next. Method. Mixed method is used the research to get better understanding about the problem. Carswell 2012. Argued the mixed method focus on collecting, analyzing, and mixing quantitative and qualitative data. One of the major type of the method, the sequential explanatory design, is done is this research by collecting and analysis the quantitative data taken from the pre-test and post-test result, then followed by collecting and analyzing the qualitative data, which are the questionnaire and interview result. The purpose of the method is to use qualitative approach to explain quantitative result. Next. Finding. The finding were obtained from pre-test and post-test score, questionnaire, and in-depth interview. Between the pre-test and post-test, students were given treatment by assessing their learning using a portfolio. A portfolio used in the research is Trello. It is a web-based social media approach for a collaborative project. Students were required to post their assessment or practice, complement their translation work with supplementary search, give feedback for their peers, receive feedback both from their peers and lecturer. This process was carried out during the whole semester. At the end, the course students were evaluated based on what they had presented in their portfolio. Next. Next. Discussion. The aim of the present study is to investigate the effect of a portfolio use on the quality of student translation and their process in translating Indonesian text into English. The study shows that the translation quality is improved after the student use a portfolio. The accuracy, readability, and acceptability of the student. Translation are positively improved. The better translation result was supported by the better translation process. The student uh, revealed that the since the can access their word collection easier, get much more feedback, spend less time to edit text, and be more excited to show their best work to peers. Their translation quality indirectly affected by the use of portfolio, such as that process lead to get to good product. A good translation quality as Nemati 2017. 2016. Sorry. Next conclusion. Okay. The Suran study aims to investigate the effect of a portfolio use, the quality of student translation, and their process in translating Indonesia text into English. The research of this research so that the use of portfolio is provide to affect process of student in translating influence on the process include the number of feedback obtained, the listener of saying the progress of their ability to translate, as well as the flexibility in translating and access it. Furthermore, the use of a portfolio is also provide to affect the quality of student translation in the aspect of accuracy, readability, and acceptability. Next. In this referency about my article. Next. Okay, thank you. Maybe I think that's all for me. Any question or so far so good?
So far, so good, sir.
Okay, thank you for join the presentation. I will say sorry. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Stop recording, Chess.